You're going to want to watch today's video because I'm going to show you how to quickly and accurately cut fabric strips. Hi, I'm Kim Jamison Hurst from Chatterbox Quilts, and today I'm going to show you how to easily and accurately cut different widths of fabric strips using one tool. And this is the strip ruler 1/2 inch strips from Martelli Notions, and I want to thank them for allowing me to try out this tool. So this is what it looks like. It's a big black ruler. Yes, you can't see through it. I know it's a little different than what you may be used to using, but I want to show you how well this works when you're cutting fabric strips to get those really precise, accurate cuts that you want to get. Now, black on the top, right? On the back, it is this kind of chamois color, and it feels like that too. This is their no-slip fabric that they put on the back of their ruler, so it's going to keep it in place, and that's what's going to really help get those accurate cuts. Let's go back to the front of the ruler again. I want to show you a few things. So this is a 24-inch long ruler, but the strips you can actually cut are going to be 20 inches long. So I'm working with fat quarters today. I've just folded them in half. If you're working with the full width of fabric, you'll want to fold that in half and in half again to use this ruler with it. Now, there are different markings on the ruler that might be a little difficult for you to see, but there are markings on here that will tell you from the edge of the ruler to, for example, this first line, or I'm going to call it line, it's really a slit, and I'll show you how that works in a minute. This is 1 inch, this is 1.5 inches, and this is 2 inches. So if you line that up on the edge of your fabric and you cut here, for example, you're going to get a 2-inch strip. Now, what I like to use this ruler for is a variety of different things. It's great for cutting different widths of strips in 1/2 inch increments, because each of these little slits is a 1/2 inch away from the one previous to it. You can also cut jelly roll strips, right? 2.5 inch strips, and binding, if you like to do your binding at 2.5 inches, or maybe some other increment of 1/2 inch. Maybe you like to do it at 1.5. Some people like to do it at 2, those types of things. I like to do mine at 2.5, so this is great for cutting my binding strips as well. Now, when you first get the ruler, you're going to notice that you won't see any lines on the back like what you're seeing here. You can see all these different lines here, and you can see that there's slits when I do this. But you can see over here, there's no slits here, and there's no, so there's no line, if you will, in this area. When you get the ruler, the whole ruler is going to look like that. It's going to look like one piece of fabric. But when you make your first cut in any of these slits, you're going to cut through that backing, and that's what's going to open up the ruler. So let's talk about how to use this ruler. So first off, I've got a couple pieces of fat quarters down here, a couple pieces of fabric. They are fat quarters. So really I've got four thicknesses of fabric here. You can cut a lot of different thicknesses, like you could cut, maybe 10 thicknesses, maybe more. I'm using the Martelli ergonomic cutter. This is a 45 millimeter, and this will definitely cut through the 4 pieces of fabric I have here, the 4 thicknesses of fabric is really what it is, quite easily. So let's talk about how we set this up. So I've got my fabric down here, it's folded, and I've lined up my folded edge with one of the horizontal lines on the Martelli cutting mat that I'm using. And then I want to take my ruler and put it down. Now I want to make sure I straighten my edges. I haven't done that yet. So I'm going to make sure that there's some fabric extending to the left of my ruler, and I'm going to cut in that first slit. But first I need to line up my ruler. Okay, so I'm just lining it up with one of the vertical lines on the mat as well, and I'm actually going to cut in this first slit here, all right? So I'm going to open up my cutter. Well, if I was doing this for the first time, I would be opening up my ruler as well. And I'm just going to put that cutter in that first strip or slit and run it along. Okay, so that's going to actually cut off that excess fabric. Now, I'm not lifting the ruler up now, and this is what's going to give you these accurate cuts. When you're using a regular acrylic ruler, usually you'll make your cut, you'll move the ruler, you'll make your cut, you'll move the ruler. And there's always a chance, especially if you're cutting long strips, that that ruler can wiggle a bit, move, and then you don't get those accurate strip widths that you want. With this particular ruler, you don't have that issue because it's staying down. You can see it's stuck on the fabric basically. Okay, so I've already made that first cut. Let's say I want to make a cut for a jelly roll strip. So I want to cut a 2.5 inch width. So all I do is I do it the old-fashioned way. I count. So these are five, I keep saying 5 inches apart. Not quite. They're 1/2 inches, 0.5 of an inch apart. So I just count. So this would be 1/2 inch, 1, 1.5 inches, 2, and 2.5. So this is where I want to put my cutter in. I opened it up already, and I want to put it in and just cut through and then take it out. Okay, so that's 2.5 inch. What if I want to make another one? So I count again: 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. All right, and we're going to put that in there, and we're going to cut. But I can also cut other widths. Now you'll notice I have my finger here. Okay, I'll have my finger there because that's the one I just cut. Otherwise, I get confused. I don't want to have to pick up this ruler till I'm done cutting all the way across it. So I have my finger that I leave there so that I know that's my last strip that I cut, and then I can measure as I go forward. So let's say I want to cut just 1 inch. So I go 1/2 inch, 1 inch. So I'm going to put my ruler down at the bottom there and cut all the way up. And there we go. So you get used to this habit of moving your finger along as you cut, okay? Not as you're cutting, but after you've cut. Safety first, right? So I did a 1 inch. Let's do another 1 inch strip. Come over here and do that. Okay, and then now when I come to the edge of the ruler here, I've got only one little 1/2 inch to cut. Now I don't want to do that, but it tells me on my ruler that from the edge to here is 2 inches. And if I add the extra little half, okay, that's where I ended, right? So that would be 2.5 inches. So I could cut another jelly roll strip if I cut right at the edge of the ruler. So why not do that? All right. So now I'm going to flip my ruler over. There's my excess that I cut off. I mean, that's generous. I could have gotten closer to the edge if I wanted to. I wasn't too concerned. Okay, here's my different cuts. Okay, there's my jelly rolls. Here's my little 1 inch cut, and there's my other jelly rolls. So I've got a bunch of fabric strips cut already. I haven't cut across the whole fat quarter. What I could do next is I would move my ruler over, line it up with the vertical line. Okay, I've moved this already, but let's say they were both at the same place and I could just line it up with the vertical line and start cutting again. I could straighten the edge again if I wanted to, if you want to be really certain that everything's lined up properly. But when I was cutting with this cutter, I didn't have any problems cutting these strips in different widths. If I wanted to cut all jelly roll ones, I could have just gone 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, and quickly have cut a whole bunch of jelly roll strips, especially if I had layered several pieces of fabric on top. And you can see how nice these are cut. Just open some of these up for you to show you how nice they're cut. So very quickly you can cut a whole bunch of strips using this strip ruler in 1/2 inch increments. So this again is the Martelli 1/2 inch strip ruler. And if you want more information about it, you can look in the description below because I'll give you a link so you can check it out. And they also make other strip rulers too in different increments, different sizes as well. I have some of those too. So they're very handy in your studio, especially if you like to work with jelly roll or you want to use this ruler to cut your binding strips at 2.5 inches. It does them really quickly for you. And the best part is how accurate it cuts them because of the fact that you have that no slip material in the back and it's not, you don't have to worry about that wiggle factor as you're cutting. So thanks for watching the video today. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give it a big thumbs up and remember to share it with your quilting friends. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I release a new video. Also, before you go, be sure to check out the video that I'm sharing just for you. If you want more helpful quilting information, please go to my website at www.chatterboxquilts.com. You're gonna... Am I gonna have to redo this?
Yeah.
It looks better? I've just wasted all this fabric. Okay, what's happening here?